The message. It began with a text that seemed ordinary at first glance. Come alone to sign the inheritance papers. Don't tell anyone. The words flashed on my screen as I sipped my morning coffee. My dad wasn't the type to text. He struggled with emojis, let alone full sentences. Something about it felt off. Still, curiosity tugged at me. Inheritance? From whom? My grandparents had been gone for years. Maybe it was about Aunt Helen who passed away recently. But Aunt Helen had nothing but a house filled with cats and dust. I showed the message to my husband, Ryan. His brow furrowed. This doesn't sound like your dad. And why alone? The unease in his voice planted a seed of fear in my chest. The map that didn't add up. Ryan grabbed my phone and checked my dad's location. We had shared locations after my mom's health scare last year. He's not home, Ryan whispered. I leaned over his shoulder. The map showed my dad's little icon parked in a remote industrial district, a cluster of warehouses off Route 80. At that hour, the place should have been deserted. Yet, there were other cars parked outside. A shiver crawled up my spine. Maybe it's a lawyer's office? I tried to convince myself. At 7 in the morning? In an abandoned warehouse? Ryan shook his head. The detective's warning. Ryan called Marcus, his college friend who now worked as a detective. Minutes later, Marcus stood before us at the station, his face pale after reading the text. There's something you need to know, he said quietly. He turned his computer screen toward me. My name glared back at me, but with crimes I'd never committed. Identity theft, credit card fraud, embezzlement, millions stolen. I've never even been to Nevada, I whispered. Marcus nodded. We believe you, but someone's gone to extreme lengths to make it look like you're the criminal. The world tilted around me. My dad's message, the strange location, the demand to come alone. Suddenly, it all clicked into place. The warehouse. Marcus instructed me to reply. On my way, might be 45 minutes. By the time surveillance units surrounded the warehouse, I sat shaking in a conference room watching the live feed. 4 men stood inside, one of them unmistakably my father. My stomach dropped. When the tactical team moved in, chaos erupted. 3 men were caught immediately. My father tried to run but was taken down. Watching him in handcuffs shattered something deep inside me. The man who had once held my hand crossing the street had just tried to deliver me to criminals. The truth that broke me. An hour later, I stood in front of him in the interrogation room. His hands were cuffed, his face lined with regret. They had your mother, he said, voice breaking. My heart lurched. They showed me pictures, said they'd hurt her if I didn't bring you. I didn't know about the warrant. I thought it was just papers. Tears blurred my vision. So you sacrificed me instead? I was trying to protect the family, he whispered. But Marcus's words echoed in my mind. They were never going to let anyone walk away. Picking up the pieces. The gang had created a fake version of me. Sophia Williams, a ghost who drained millions from a tech company. They'd chosen me because my father had given them everything. My birth certificate, social security number, even old passport photos. My mother was found safe, shaken but unharmed. She later admitted she'd felt something was wrong for months. My dad's paranoia, the locked doors, the sleepless nights. She thought it was stress. She never imagined this. My father received 5 years for conspiracy. The others got decades. I visited him once. He looked at me with tear-filled eyes and asked, "Can you ever forgive me?" I didn't answer. Because how do you forgive the person who almost handed you over to criminals? The lesson that remains. The inheritance text still sits on my phone. I can't delete it. It's evidence, yes, but also a reminder. That danger can come wrapped in the familiar. That sometimes the people you trust most are the ones who lead you into the darkest traps. Now, whenever my phone buzzes, I hesitate. Ryan installed an emergency alert app for me. I've never used it, but knowing it's there helps. Am I okay? Not yet. but I'm getting there, slowly, carefully, with my eyes wide open, because once you've been betrayed in the name of love, you never ignore the warning signs again. The shadows. After the truth, life didn't return to normal after that day. How could it? The image of my father in handcuffs haunted me like a scar that refused to fade. Nights were the hardest. I'd wake up drenched in sweat, convinced that the buzzing of my phone meant another trap, another lie waiting to swallow me whole. Ryan tried to reassure me, whispering, "It's over. They can't touch you anymore." But deep down, I knew the truth. Evil doesn't disappear when handcuffs click. It lingers, waiting for the right moment to strike again. The silent calls. 2 weeks later, my phone rang at midnight. An unknown number. I froze, staring at the screen, my heart hammering in my chest. Ryan reached for it, but I shook my head. Something inside told me to answer. "Hello?" My voice was barely a whisper. Silence. Then a click. The line went dead. The next day, Marcus confirmed it. Could be nothing. Could be them testing if you're still rattled. His tone was calm, but the look in his eyes told me otherwise. They hadn't all been caught. Mom's secret journal. One evening, while helping my mom pack her things after selling the house, I stumbled upon a leather-bound notebook hidden at the back of her closet. The pages were filled with notes in her handwriting. Every strange phone call, every car she thought was following her, every time Dad came home late, looking pale and shaken. She had known. She had seen the storm building long before I ever did. "I wanted to protect you," she admitted when I confronted her. Her hands trembled as she held the journal. But I didn't know how. He kept saying they'd kill us if we told anyone. Reading those pages, I realized the truth. My father hadn't been the only one trapped. My mother had been living in fear too, silently carrying a burden that was slowly breaking her. The visit against my better judgment. I went to see my father again in prison. He looked older, his hair grayer, his shoulders slumped like a man who'd aged a decade in months. "I never wanted this," he said, his voice raw. "They threatened everything I loved. I thought I could outsmart them." "You didn't outsmart anyone," I replied quietly. "You almost destroyed us." He lowered his head. "I was weak, and because of me, you'll never trust again." He wasn't wrong, but as I looked at him, I also saw a man who had been preyed on, manipulated, and cornered. Love had blinded him. Fear had chained him. And yet, the damage was done. A message for others. When I finally walked out of that prison, I made a decision. I wouldn't let my story just be about betrayal and fear. I wanted it to be a warning, because the truth is, danger doesn't always wear the face of a stranger. Sometimes it wears the face of family. So I began to write, to share my story online. At first, it was terrifying. Every click, every comment made me relive the pain. But soon, messages began to pour in. Strangers confessed their own experiences with betrayal, manipulation, and family secrets. I wasn't alone. None of us were. The moral that remains. If there's one thing I've learned, it's this. Trust is a gift, not a guarantee. And once broken, it can never be given blindly again. My father's choices left scars that may never fully heal. But they also taught me the importance of vigilance, of questioning the things that don't feel right, no matter how harmless they seem. The inheritance text still sits on my phone, unread but never deleted. Not because I want to remember him that way, but because it reminds me that love can be twisted, fear can be used as a weapon, and survival sometimes means walking away from the very people you thought would protect you. And maybe, just maybe, sharing this story can stop someone else from walking into their own trap.